Alright, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, today we are reviewing the 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona, as seen in the 6th installment of the Fast and the Furious franchise. This is Vin Diesel's car, after he had this Dodge Charger RT in the first few films. He upgraded to a Charger Daytona and it looks pretty flash. As soon as I saw this, so I knew I had to have one. And have one I did. I bought it. So, what's good about it? Well, what's good about it is, for starters, did you get that good look at that on camera one? It looks good. It's got a good paint job. I've had this for, the 6th movie was a couple of years ago now, so it's been driven quite a bit and has more hits than the Beatles, but you get the impression that it did look really good when it was brand new. It's a good looking car. And of course, if you're a motorsport fan, the Charger Daytona dominated NASCAR, broke records, first car to run 200 miles an hour, and it was so good it got kicked out of NASCAR and banned. So it's got a real fancy history to it that's impressive to us motorsport enthusiasts. So what's good about it? The looks, we just went through that. There were 2 other cars available at the time, a 69 Mustang, which was white, had barely any screen time, but they made a RC car of it. Fair enough. Mustangs are nice. And they had a Nissan GTR or a 350Z. My memory escapes me there. So there were 2 other cars to buy. Now they gave you 3 bandwidths to choose from. So if your friends are driving them, or your sister, or your brother, or your mother, you can all have your own frequency, so you stay in control of your own car. That's good. That was neat. It had batteries included, which is I'm a big fan of, and toy grade RCs, and a lot of them seem to be doing it now. But a couple of years ago, it was non-rechargeable batteries in them. So it was 4 AA's in the trapdoor here underneath, and the old 9-volt in the controller. So they were already in there, and the battery performance lasted quite a long time, because now we start to get to the negative stuff. The car is slow, it is underpowered, it is not that fast. It even says it on the box here, 8.2, no I'm not telling you stories, 8.5 kilometres an hour top speed. Now that is not fast. In fact, these 2 to my left here, I believe will blow it away. But we'll see that in a later video. I haven't even unboxed this one yet. We've unboxed this one, the black 670 Charger RT. You can watch a review of that in the description below. There'll be a link. So when you're done with this video, now I forgot what I was talking about. Alright, that's right, the bad things. The bad things, yes, it's not very fast, but that's not that big of a deal, because you know what, this could be your first RC car, so 8.5 kilometres is fast enough if you've never had one before. Even if you have other ones, 8.5 is not that bad for a toy grade, but it's definitely going to be down the bottom towards the others in terms of performance. But the most annoying thing for me is the controls. You either go full speed or neutral, or full speed in reverse or neutral. You can't go creep, you can't go a little bit forward and then gradually pick up speed. You can't do that at all in this car, which I find annoying. But even more annoying than that, there's like a 1-second satellite delay between your interactions on the control here and the car picking it up and doing it. For example, you're going full speed, for whatever reason you want to stop, 1 second will pass and then the car will stop. Or you're steering, you want to turn right now, 1 second later the car will turn right. That drives me bananas. But again, if this is your first RC car, or you're super young, your mum's just bought it for you and you're 4 or 5 years old, you're probably not going to pick up on these things. But for those of us that have driven quite a few, it's definitely noticeable. And it feels a little cheap. Even though the car looks good for its price, it feels cheap. And like they, I don't know, just slapped it together engineering wise. Now, this car is the same price as these ones. Now, if you watched this review, you'll know that the Jada toys that are out with the 8th Fast and the Furious installment this year, being 2017, if you're watching this in the future, these are far superior cars to this one, and they both were in the same price bracket. Now, while we're on the subject of the makers of this car not really caring all that much about it, right away, when you look at the box here, right away they were off to a bad start by calling it a Dodge Challenger Daytona, which doesn't even exist. The Dodge Challenger is a completely different model. This is a Charger Daytona. Again, only motorsport enthusiasts are going to pick up on that, but that's just slack by this company. It's lazy. And the frame that it was in, bolted to when you buy it brand new, is very cheap plastic. And there's little signs right away that this car is maybe not going to be as good as what you hoped. That's why I was so blown away and surprised by this one, because my standards set by this one, even though they're different companies, were super low. I thought, another Fast and the Furious brand air control, this is going to be cheap and nasty, especially when I come from, nowadays anyway, I like playing with hobby grade RC toys, which are in the next stratosphere compared to toy grade. But I was pleasantly surprised with these ones, and again, the link in the description below to watch that video. But for now, it's all about the Charger Daytona. Now this car you will have seen, perhaps over 250,000 people have seen the video of when I put this up against the General Lee from the Dukes of Hazzard TV series and movies. I'll put a lot of link to that video in the description below if you haven't already seen it. But you can see the car's had more hits than the Beetles. We've really been driving this a lot over the past 2 years. And it will be in upcoming movies, I do believe. I haven't quite sorted out what my next movie is going to be. But don't be surprised if you see a cameo. So, we've talked about how it drives, but what about the good things besides what it looks like? Well, it did come with another set of tyres. They called it drift tyres. Now, these are hard plastic. They've got no tread on them. But you know what? These tyres are also hard plastic. They've got a little bit of tread on them, but really not much softer and not a lot more grip than these ones. So already with these stock tyres that come fitted to the car, I can do donuts and little slides, which these ones are supposed to give you anyway. So now, on the hardwood floor, it slides around on either set of tyres. There's no real point changing it. But on concrete, where you can get grip, because again the tyres plastic is so hard, you really need that rough, coarse finish to get some grip to drive it. Then there's too much grip and you can't really use the drifting tyres. So the idea was there to make the car a little bit more slidey and fun to drive with these tyres, but I don't find them all that rewarding. And there's two instructions, one in the box there and this other little bit of instructions here on how to change the wheels and tyres. It says put a little key, I've forgotten where I put it, there it is. Put this little key in 2 holes in the wheel and then twist it and it comes off. Now there's no holes in there, so I just end up pulling these tyres off the rims and putting these tyres on when I went to test them out. So the instructions are very, very vague. I mean, you've got to be Thomas Edison or Albert Einstein to figure this out, and I'm not in their calibre. So yeah, it's a good looking car. If you don't have a lot of RCs, then you won't see these flaws, but if you do, these flaws will be immediately obvious to you. This car was still being sold in department stores like Toys R Us and things up to last year. So even during the 7th movie, these were still being sold. Of course, we're now up to the 8th movie, and now department stores are all stocking the Jada Toys RC versions. You might still find some selling the Nikos, but these are far superior. Take my word for it. And I'm not being paid by anyone. I have like 50 subscribers. No one cares about this channel. No one watches. So that's how you know I'm being real. These ones, far superior. Buy this one if, like me, you're a Charger fan and you just have to have a Daytona, or you're a movie franchise fan and you just have to have whatever RC toy comes out bearing something from that movie. Or if it's being bought for a little kid and they have not driven any radiator control car toys before, they won't pick up on its flaws. So there you have it, the Charger Daytona in all its glory. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Check out my previous review videos and radio control adventures, and we'll see you guys next time.